Hello, I'm Simulated Erk and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. And today we are in Adelaide, the capital city of South Australia. Let's get right into it. The aircraft is a Airbus A320 and this is a Virgin Blue skin. Virgin Blue was the name given to the Virgin airline that came to Australia first of all before it became Virgin Australia, and this is what they used to look like. Now red is the Virgin colour across all the different Virgin groups, but they the first stage when they started, they didn't want to be called Virgin Australia for some reason, which would have saved them a hell of a lot of money in hindsight. But they wanted something big, something bold to say, hey, we're here, you know, we're competing against Qantas, but we're nothing like Qantas. And the Virgin Blue name came after a competition where they're looking for names. And for instance, if you've got red hair in Australia, you're often called Bluey. If you're really short, you're called Stretch. If you're really large, you might be called Tiny, something like that. And so Virgin Blue, and that allowed them to paint all of their aircraft red to take it on. So that's the aircraft. Now we are using the Pushback Express mod again, but what I'm highlighting in this part of the episode is the ground service vehicles. Now, in the last episode, we featured a mod about ground service vehicles in America and how you could modify them so they look like the vehicles would in America, but also with the colour schemes of the particular aircraft and the particular airline. But the problem with that is, say if you're at a large airport such as Atlanta, like we were in the last episode, because of the limitations of the software, you couldn't change your company's, say you have, Delta at the Delta ramps, you know, American at the American ramps or whatever. So it was whatever airline you selected, the ground service vehicles were the same across the whole airport. So what I've found, and there's a really good site for reskins, etc., and it's called flightsim.to, and you can go there, sign up for free, and this is a free skin for ground units that you could use basically anywhere, and it's the Menzies Ground Aviation, or the Menzies Aviation pack. And so that covers, okay, we can see that covers the tug and also the power truck. The power truck and the baggage handlers, and it's the sky chefs. So it doesn't change the actual how the default look. It's the same sort of thing, but the skins are different. So what we'll do, we'll request the fuel truck because that takes a while. And we'll request everything else at the same time. And we'll request the gangway. We're at Adelaide International Airport. Adelaide's a really simple airport and a really good airport for watching planes come in, planes land, planes take off, and that sort of thing. It's got all of the facilities of the larger airports, but it's not a massive airport where you're going to get, you know, lost. You can go from one end of the terminal, you know, pretty quickly. The aircraft skin is again a skin from from a mega liveries pack. Links in the show notes and the description. And are the baggage handlers going to do anything? Let's have a look. Here we go. Mustn't have pressed the button hard enough. So again, it doesn't change the default behavior of any of the default vehicles or anything like that. So everything will happen as normal. Now at Flight Sim TO and others, there's a whole heap of different reskins, etc. for the ground service vehicles. So if you want something that's more specific to where you are, you can. There's some that only do, for instance, there's some that only do for the safety vests and things like that, but there's others that just do everything as a pack. So you can spend a lot of time, and I will be spending a lot of time at flightsim.to amongst others to find skins that look a little bit more authentic than the originals. And we'll keep up to date as things continue to develop. The software isn't even a year old yet, so now the fuel truck hasn't arrived. We'll wait for the fuel truck. The fuel truck usually takes the longest. The jetway is working good. It's a small gate with an A320. I have noticed that sometimes a small gate isn't available, so you have to make do with a medium gate. I did remember to change the voices on Pushback Express back to Australian after the North American episode, the last episode.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We will be ready shortly.
Okay, I will hold.
So we're just waiting for the fuel truck that's arriving now. There's lots of different packs, so if you want to specify the fuel company you can. I've just gone with the whole Menzies Aviation pack. So that covers the catering, that covers the fuel truck, that covers the tug and the baggage handlers and everything like that. So it doesn't matter if this would be a Qantas flight or a Virgin Australia flight or an Air New Zealand flight or whatever. It wouldn't necessarily matter. I can use these skins all around the world. And I'm pretty sure I've actually forgot to mention this, but this pack is actually free, so you don't have to pay for it. So that's pretty sweet. So we'll just let the fuel truck refuel. So we will go for a flight out of Adelaide at some other point, but today's not that other point. I don't think I've got the right Darwin Airport, the capital of the Northern Territory, but I'll go with it for the purposes of the exercise. This is obviously a general aviation strip. What we have in front of us is an Ansett liveried A320neo. Obviously, Ansett never had any A320neos. They were out of business in 2001. They did have Airbus aircraft, however, before their demise. This is one of several Ansett colour schemes that are out there. And you could go, and I'll have a link in the description anyway of where you can go. But it is flightsim.to is where you'll find a lot of the liveries that we're featuring on this episode. So let's give control of the aircraft to Otto. Let's announce our takeoff straight out.
And Delta Alpha in the traffic Ansett 069 are taking off runway 20 departing straight out.
So obviously in real life you would never get an A320 taking off from a strip like this unless it was a real emergency. What are you doing, Otto? Did you reject the takeoff?
Yankee Delta Alpha in the traffic Ansett 069 are taking off runway 20 straight out departure.
So there's various Ansett liveries from various parts of Ansett's history. There's one good thing about something like Flight Simulator is that you can indeed replicate liveries. Yeah, we've run out of runway space. That's what we've done. Let me see if we can actually... We'll fast forward because I want to see it flying. So one of the good things is that even though it might not be technically correct, you can still see the aircraft flying around. There's a few different liveries that we'll see that aren't necessarily 100% correct in...
Overspeed. Yankee Delta Alpha in the traffic Ansett 069 or 2 miles southwest 4,500 feet inbound to land runway 20.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
So we're just letting Otto
Overspeed.
do the flying and handle the radio comms and that sort of stuff. So even though, you know, Ansett's not around anymore and they haven't been for 20 years, you can fly around on a modern aircraft wearing an Ansett scheme should you want to. There's going to be others that we're going to see on this episode as well.
2,500.
I'm going to see various paint schemes in this episode. All of them in this episode will be free, so you don't necessarily have to pay anything to get them, which is awesome. One thing that you'll need to know is that you need to know how the directory system works, where to put the files, and if you don't match up with the naming convention or the person who created the folders hasn't followed the naming convention, they won't appear.
India traffic Ansett 069 or 5 miles southeast 1,200 feet inbound to land runway 20.
This is going to be a very interesting approach, considering that we know we're landing on a grass strip, and again, it's one of the joys of simulator flying that you can try and land an A320 on a grass strip like this, and you know, what's the worst that can happen? You just restart and go again.
Yankee Delta Alpha India traffic Ansett 069 or 4 miles southeast 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 20.
So that is definitely not Darwin Airport. I'm going to have to look up what they actually do call Darwin Airport in ACAO, because it's a joint military. I just put in Darwin and go, oh yeah, that's Darwin, that's sweet, but obviously it's not. But we've got a few different planes to show you, so we'll do that from different airports.
Yankee Delta Alpha India traffic Ansett 069er is on base runway 20.
So we're coming into land now. I did actually fly I did fly Ansett originally when I started flying, when I got a job and started flying places. That would have been about 95, 96, I reckon.
Yankee Delta Alpha India traffic Ansett 069er is on final runway 20 to land.
Alright Otto, let's go my friend. Now this is also going to be interesting because we've only got a short runway. Sometimes Otto struggles to land when you've got a beautiful, beautiful airport, nice long runway. So we'll go see how he goes on one of these bush strips.
500. 400. 300.
You're a bit low, Otto. It's deceptive sometimes. You think you're going to hit those trees,
100.
and he looks like he's through the trees there.
50, 40, 30.
Oh, he's wide of the strip.
Retard, right.
Not that you can really tell the difference, but I could tell the difference. It was a nice landing, just not on the strip, but it was a nice landing. Apart from the fact it wasn't on the strip, but it's pretty comparable anyway, I would think. Yeah, I think you've run out of runway, Otto. You've definitely run out of strip there, Otto. Should we now so we're clear of the runway?
Alpha, India traffic Ansett 069er is clear of the runway.
Alright, this is much better.
Cleared for takeoff runway. 29er departing straight out approved.
This is much better. This is Darwin International, so not some random strip in Darwin. Let's have a look at the side of the aircraft. This is one of the, if I can get my camera correct. This is one of the later, or probably the latest, Ansett liveries before they went out of business in 2001. So this is pretty much how it would have looked. We're at the right Darwin Airport this time. We're at Darwin International, rather than some bush trip which is rather close that's also called Darwin. So this will be more to Otto's liking. Alright, so let's give Otto control of the ship. Okay, Otto, let's go. So here we go, we have taken off from Darwin, Darwin being the capital of the Northern Territory, and it's often been described as a gateway to Southeast Asia. Indeed, some of the low-cost international airlines would start out of Darwin to head to Asian destinations. So got the city of Darwin in the background. It was massively rebuilt after a very devastating tropical cyclone in 1974, Cyclone Tracy.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
So it's a small capital city by Australian standards, but it's a capital city nonetheless.
Overspeed.
Darwin Tower, Ansett 069er to land.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
Ansett 069er, Darwin Tower. Make left traffic, runway 29er. Altimeter 29er.9er, wind 266 at reach.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
Enter left downwind runway 29er, Ansett 069er.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
So we're just doing a simple circuit just to show you off the aircraft. I'm going to go around to the other side to show you some of the airport on the landing. Okay, so Ansett 069. Okay, we get the idea. This is my favourite one, request airport direction.
Darwin Tower, Ansett 069er is unfamiliar with the area. Request directions to the airport.
Ansett
runway 29er Ansett 069er.
So let's see if Otto can do a better landing at Darwin International. Having said that, some of that wasn't Otto's fault. That plane should never have, I should never have tried to land that plane at that airport. But I just went with it, considering, you know, have to, you know, would have had to have shut it down, reload, etc. So
1,000.
I can remember once I went to, the only time I've been to Darwin, I went there when I was a heavy frequent flyer and I was trying to do the status run. I was down in Melbourne, I lived in Sydney at the time, and I was down in Melbourne for a week or so. And I had a spare day, so I went on a mileage run to Darwin and back, just spent a few hours in the city and then came back. So I did spend one birthday in Darwin, and the funny thing is that in Darwin and the Northern Territory they have a newspaper called the NT News, and on the front of the newspaper it's usually some weird and wacky headline, something like my dog was stolen while I was in the toilet, or something like that, you know, something weird and wacky. It could be a serious news item, but they'll make a weird and wacky headline about it, and it gains attention from all around the world for that reason. And so I was actually looking forward to seeing a paper copy of the NT News on the day of my birthday with a funny headline, but it was something serious about, you know, some footballer had been caught drink driving or something. So I was a bit disappointed. Alright, so we're coming in 400 feet. You can get a bit nervous looking side on,
200.
especially if you don't know the area. But my main focus on this episode in particular is showing you the outside of the aircraft. He just looks like he's flying through the trees there, Otto.
100. 50, 40,
Where are you going, my dude?
30, 20 cars.
Oh no! Sorry, Ansett.
Retard.
Ansett 069er contact ground on 121.8.
How did you screw that up, Otto? Still ending on its wheels, I guess, but there's the runway, and your tail is where your nose should be, and you should be over there.
Ansett 069er, did you copy?
.8 for Ansett 069er.
Yeah, Otto, you should be over there, going down the runway. You're not just standing.
21 ready for takeoff, straight on departure.
Here we are at Perth International.
Cleared for takeoff runway 21 departing straight out approved.
Oh, check that out. While we're in
Cleared for
Ansett
takeoff,
mode,
runway 21 Ansett 069er.
while we're in Ansett mode, they definitely didn't have any A320neos in this era. But this is what would now be considered a retro Ansett livery. I don't remember this one at all. I think this was before my time. But let's go for a fly. We are at Perth International. We'll just do what we were going to do before. So So there we go. Actually, I'll go the other side because of the sun. So there we go. Ansett Airlines of Australia. And we'll give Otto control of the aircraft. And let's go. A little bit later on in the episode, we'll be featuring a livery from a similar sort of period for Qantas in one of their retro roos. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later on as we get further down the episode. So going down the runway now, here comes Otto, about to depart Perth, the capital of Western Australia. And here we go.
Perth Tower Ansett 069er to land.
Ansett 069er, Perth Tower. Fly left traffic, runway 21. Altimeter 29.9er, 2 wind 271 and 3.
Now Perth Airport can get very, very busy.
37 cleared to land, runway 21. Follow the generic on final. Wind 271 and 3.
Perth can get very, very busy. It is a
Runway 21 Qantas 937.
it is an important international gateway into Australia. Also very popular with the mining industry and that sort of stuff. Workers flying in, flying out from the east coast of Australia to work on the mines, etc. Up especially in the northwest of Western Australia. And before the certain global pandemic, Qantas were flying.
069er, did you copy?
I couldn't get a word in
Qantas 937 exit, runway was able.
here we go.
Enter left downwind runway 21 Ansett 069er.
So what would happen before the certain global pandemic? Qantas were flying direct from Perth to London, so you wouldn't have to stop in somewhere like Singapore or the Middle East, but people would have to get themselves to Perth, and then it was a long non-stop flight.
Turn next taxiway.
It was a long non-stop flight, something in the vicinity of 20 hours, 16 to 20 hours between Perth and London non-stop. I did mention on another episode that if you're ever in Perth, and especially in summer, although it doesn't really matter when it is, but summer's probably the best time for it. If you go to one of the coastal beaches and watch the sunset, and watch the sunset into the Indian Ocean. Ansett 069.
Runway 21 Ansett 069er.
Qantas 937 exit, runway was able.
It's actually also not a bad flight over from the east coast of Perth. Does take some time though, depending on the direction in which you're going to, especially. But you're looking at 4 to 5 hours. Australia's such a big country from coast to coast.
Qantas 937 exit, runway was able.
So while it does feel, while Perth does feel a part of Australia, it's because it's also so isolated. There's also that country within a country mentality and feel sometimes, especially too because in the middle of summer, for instance, there's a 3-hour time zone difference. There's a 3-hour time difference between the west coast and the east coast. At the time of recording, there's actually a new train line being built from Perth Airport into this, or linking up with the existing city rail network, or the the local train network, I should say. So. So we're just coming in, we've been cleared the land now. Quite a few houses around the airport, but also some industry as well.
500.
Let's see if Otto can redeem himself after his effort at Darwin. Having said that, he can land one of these things better than I can. We're going to finish up with some general aviation and then... So we're going to finish up with some general aviation aircraft.
100.
We'll acknowledge our go around.
Going around Ansett 069er.
There we go. I've never had ATC actually tell me to go around like that before. I don't know if they thought we were too low or there was something else on the...
Overspeed.
Oh, that aircraft's still on the runway.
Overspeed.
Good call, ATC.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
So still waiting for an aircraft to get off the runway.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
So that's why ATC... So that's why ATC... So that's why ATC told us to go around, because they were waiting for the aircraft in front to get off the runway, and then when it still wasn't off the runway, they told us to go around. So we're just building height again, and then we'll get back into the pattern. Oh, we're hovering just on 250. Come on, Qantas 937, get out of the way. So we're just waiting for ATC to give us landing clearance again.
Qantas 1007 cleared to land runway 21. Follow the generic on the runway. 1271 at 3.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Cleared to land runway 21 Qantas 1007.
So we're going to have to get back into the pattern.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
I was a bit worried about that approach anyway,
Overspeed.
but then again it could have been just the angle that I was looking at it.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Now this would have been an era of this would have been an era of where aircraft had a lot of chrome. I'll try and work out when this livery was actually based to give you some sort of idea. So I didn't realise I went that far back. Ansett was actually founded by Reg Ansett in 1935, so it's not actually an abbreviation like Qantas that many people might think. And it was a part of...
1007 contact ground on 122.2.
It was part of Reg Ansett's road transport business. Oh well, there's a similar scheme for a Fokker Friendship in 1970. Yeah, so this is the 1970s logo of Ansett Australia. Towards the end of their operation, they also had subsidiaries: Hazelton Airlines, Kendall, Sky West, and Aero Pelican. It's a very, very long story about the history of Ansett. It's been around since 1935. It basically died in 2001 after September 11. I'll leave a link in the show notes, but it's had a long and extensive history.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
So there's a similar livery that I can see to a Boeing 727 in 1970.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
They've certainly had a lot of different aircraft over the time. DC-3s, DC-4s, 6s, 9s, Fokkers, Lockheed L-188s.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
So I'll leave a link in the show notes. So if you want some more information and further reading about Ansett, you can.
Overspeed, 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 overspeed.
As I said, I like this one.
Perth Tower, Ansett 069 is unfamiliar with the area. Request directions to the airport.
Overspeed, overspeed, overspeed,
Ansett 069 Airport is 6 o'clock 34 miles.
overspeed.
So it's basically behind us.
Overspeed,
Perth
overspeed,
Tower, Ansett 069 cancel landing intention.
overspeed, overspeed,
Ansett 069 your cancellation is received.
overspeed, 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 overspeed,
Melbourne Centre, Ansett 069 3 miles southwest of Yankee Mike Uniform Lima. Request IACR to Perth, ready to copy.
overspeed, overspeed,
Ansett 069 is cleared to Perth Airport as filed.
overspeed,
Squawk 0616.
overspeed, overspeed, overspeed,
Ansett 069 are cleared to Perth Airport as filed. Squawk 0616.
overspeed, overspeed, overspeed,
Ansett 069 are right back direct.
overspeed,
Radar contact 15,500 feet.
overspeed,
Altimeter 29.9 2 turn right heading 015. Proceed on course, descend and maintain 7,000 feet.
overspeed,
Okay, so we're on our way down. Copy that.
overspeed,
Turn right heading 015, proceed on course, descend and maintain 7,000 feet, Ansett 069er.
Overspeed.
So in the background,
Ansett 069er, you are 43 miles south. Descend and maintain 2,800 feet, expect VOR DME runway 21 approach via Papa Hotel 308 radial 90 DME are clear to Papa Hotel.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
so you can see there some of the
Ansett 069er, descend and maintain 2,800 feet.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Descend and maintain 2,800 feet. Expect VOR DME runway 21 approach via Papa Hotel 308 radial 90 DME are clear to Papa Hotel Ansett 069er.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
I'll let Otto sort out the overspeed.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
Now I was reading here in this article
Overspeed.
about Ansett.
Overspeed.
Where did I see it?
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
An interesting fact from this article,
Overspeed.
whichever aircraft had the registration of Victor Hotel
Overspeed. Overspeed.
Mike, Romeo Mike Alpha,
Overspeed.
which were the initials of Reg Ansett,
Overspeed.
that aircraft was regarded as the unofficial flagship of the airline at the time.
Overspeed.
Now I thought because this registration has
Overspeed.
Romeo Echo Golf
Overspeed.
after Reg Ansett, I thought this might have been it, but indeed it was Romeo Mike Alpha.
Overspeed. Overspeed.
So Romeo Mike Alpha was carried by a Douglas C-47 in 1948 to 1956,
Overspeed.
a Lockheed L-188 Electra from 1959 to 1984, and then a Boeing 767-200 from 1992 to 1997.
Overspeed. Overspeed. Overspeed.
So after Ansett collapsed, the registration was purchased by a holding company in January 2002, but it hasn't been used since.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
So at one time, Ansett served a lot of different airports in Australia.
Overspeed.
They served Auckland and Christchurch in New Zealand, Fiji,
Overspeed.
Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Indonesia,
Overspeed.
to Jakarta and Denpasar,
Overspeed.
China, Shanghai,
Overspeed.
Hong Kong,
Overspeed.
Taipei,
Overspeed.
Japan and South Korea.
Overspeed.
They were also a member of the Star Alliance.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
And they also had a air cargo division called Ansett Air Freight.
Overspeed. 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 Overspeed.
Ansett 069er, contact Perth approach on 123.6. 123.6 for Ansett 069er. Perth approach Ansett 069er is at 6,300 feet, descending 2,800 feet. Ansett 069er, Perth approach, continue to Papa Hotel as planned. Altimeter 29.92.
Alright, beautiful scenery as you can see around Perth. Let's swing the camera around. As we're coming in. The main reason why I'm just continuing with this is because I want to see how Otto lands. So coming up on the right-hand side of the aircraft is the city centre of Perth. And the Swan River that runs through it. Perth was also the site of America's Cup yacht racing. When Australia won the America's Cup, it was held in Perth.
Ansett 069er, descend and maintain 2,500 feet. Descend and maintain 2,500 feet, Ansett 069er.
Now I have noticed by going to the websites, if you do a search for Australia, there's a little bit there. Some people have just concentrated on, for instance, their local general aviation airport. As a for instance, there are others that might decide, oh, we're just going to focus on
2,500.
a particular building or a particular landmark. Like there's a few different versions of the Melbourne Cricket Ground, for instance. There is it's either coming or it's out, just waiting for it to come onto the marketplace in game, a redo of the Brisbane cityscape, so that should be cool. So we'll just see how Otto does on this landing, and then we'll probably continue on to the retro route which is a QANTAS colour scheme of the same sort of vintage as this one. They were actually painted onto a modern aircraft as a promotion. There was the retro roo and then the second retro roo as a sort of a throwback for QANTAS's history. So we'll just let Otto land this one. See how he goes on his landing after he had to go around through no fault of his own. I do have to point out, looks like they're building a new freeway down there. That's cool.
Ansett 069er, you are 90 miles north of Perth. Contact Perth Tower on 127.4 when inbound on the approach.
Tower on 127.4 Ansett 069er. Perth Tower Ansett 069er 8 miles north inbound for DME runway 21 approach.
Ansett 069er, Perth Tower. Cleared VOR DME runway 21 approach. Altimeter 29.9er to wind 271 entry.
Cleared VOR DME runway 21 approach Ansett 069er.
Airport information kilo 03000. Wind 271 entry. Visibility niner. Sky condition clear. Temperature 15. 2.13. Altimeter 29.902. ILS Yankee runway 21 in use. Landing and departing runway 21. DSR aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back all short instructions. Advise controller, on initial contact, you have kilo.
Cleared to land runway 21 Ansett 069er.
Alright, here we go. Let's go, Otto. Good luck. We're all counting on you. There's the train line. How we doing, Otto, man?
300. 200. 100.
How we doing?
50, 40, 30, 20. Retard, try.
There we go. That was good.
Route on 122.2.
Me technicality, but I think we should cancel IFR now.
Perth Tower Ansett 069er. Cancel IFR at this time.
Good job, Otto.
Ansett 069er, turn next taxiway.
Good job, Otto.
069er, IFR flight plan is cancelled. Maintain VFR. You are still clear to land runway 21.
Yeah, should have cancelled ILS a
Ansett
bit.
069er exit runway with Able.
Alright, so good job, Otto.
Qantas 069er, cleared for takeoff runway 23 departing straight out approved.
Alright, so here we are.
Takeoff runway 23 Qantas 069er.
Again, this is a A320neo that's in game, and with the Qantas Retro Roo 1 livery, and this is how Qantas aircraft looked back in the day. Qantas did do two liveries of different bygone eras. This was Retro Roo, and then there was another one called Retro Roo 2. I have seen a Retro Roo 2, but sometimes in general in internet life they say, oh, don't look at the comments. When you are doing things like downloading mods, etc., do read the comments, because if you see a lot of people reporting that they're having problems or anything like that, don't download it, even if it is for free, like all these ones in this episode are. I saw on one comment about Retro Roo 2 that said on the fuselage you misspelt Australia, and the comment was, well, you misspelled Australia, are you going to fix that? Oh yes, I'm going to fix that, but I'm taking a break from doing skins right now. So I don't want to feature a skin on a video like this, on an episode like this, where you had one job to spell Australia correctly and you didn't. So let's give Otto control of the aircraft. We're at Adelaide, which is where we started the episode, but we didn't actually take off. So now we are going to take off with Qantas Retro Roo. And this became a very popular aircraft for aviation spotters. The Retro Roos were on a Boeing 737, but I don't have a Boeing 737 in Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Adelaide Tower, Qantas 069er to land.
Qantas 069er, Adelaide Tower. Enter left traffic, runway 23. Altimeter 29.92, wind 261 at tree.
Enter left traffic, runway 23 Qantas 069er.
Adelaide Airport information Golf 06000. Wind 261 at tree. Visibility, none. Skies condition, clear. Temperature, 15. Dew point, 13. Altimeter, 29.902. ILS Yankee runway 23 in use. Landing and departing runway 23. DSR aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller, on initial contact, you have Golf.
So we're now coming into Adelaide, the capital of South Australia. Very famous for its laid-back lifestyle, and also for its tourism, especially in relation to wineries and the like nearby. Very popular wine region of Australia, just north of Adelaide, the Barossa Valley. So we'll actually turn around, so we've got the sun behind us. Oops. So there's Retro-Roo. That's certainly a different era.
Qantas 069er, cleared to land runway 23. Wind 261 at tree.
Cleared to land runway 23 Qantas 069er.
So we're sort of moving away from the era of the paint scheme that we featured just previously with the Ansett retro livery, where a lot of the bottom half of the fuselage was basically had that chrome look. So they've gone for an all-over white, and what a lot of airlines used to do, whichever colour they were, they would basically paint a stripe over where the windows were of that particular colour, and of course the tail. Been various versions of the flying kangaroo on the back of the aircraft, and there's one way to generate controversy within the Australian aviation community. Now, I just mentioned that you're thinking of doing a redesign of the tail of the flying kangaroo. So Otto's coming in nicely to Adelaide. Coming in nicely. Now, I did notice with the Mega Livery Pack that in the selection somebody misspelled Qantas with two S's. I thought I might have been able to fix that by changing the name of the folder, but unfortunately I couldn't. But that's not on the fuselage on the side of the aircraft. It is correct on the actual graphic and also on the actual livery. So coming into Adelaide now.
500. 400. 300. 200.
He had a pretty good landing in Perth, Otto.
100. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard, 5.
Nah, he's just gone.
Qantas 069er, contact ground on 121.7.
He's just gone a little bit wide, old mate.
121.7 Qantas 069er.
Oh, cool. It was a good landing. It was just a little bit off target. So that is the Qantas Retro-Roo.
Rex 069er, cleared for takeoff, runway 17 departing straight out approved.
Cleared for takeoff runway 17 R8X 069er.
So here we are, we're back at Canberra Airport, this time Canberra International. Canberra, the capital of Australia. This is a regional express or Rex aircraft. Not a fan of the registration. It's a Singapore registration on the actual fuselage, but I can live with that, I guess. Now, Rex basically a regional airline, but they're just expanding now into the 737 and intercapital market, say Sydney, Melbourne, whereas Rex would operate from, let's say, Sydney or Melbourne, and then they'd operate to regional and country centres, but they're now expanding into areas such as the intercapital market. So we're going to let Otto take off. Again, this is the default A320 Neo with a different livery. Information in the show notes and the description below. So interestingly, Canberra Airport doesn't have as many international flights as you'd think, considering that it is the capital of Australia. If people from overseas are travelling to Canberra, which is basically halfway between Sydney and Melbourne, they would either fly into somewhere like Sydney or Melbourne and then get a domestic flight to Canberra. So let's say that we're ready to fly. We'll get out of the cockpit. We'll have a look at the plane. I don't want to really be looking into the sun if I can help it. We'll give Otto the controls and let's go. So while Rex don't have any Airbuses, this is the sort of size of their 737 when they may even be operating their intercapital routes by the time you're watching this episode. So Rex was formed in 2002 as part of the aftermath of the Ansett collapse.
Canberra Tower REX 069er to land.
Rex 069er, Canberra Tower. Enter left downwind runway 17. Altimeter 29er, 2 wind 25, 7 entry.
So Rex was...
Traffic runway 17 REX 069er.
So old mate pilot can't say Rex, but ATC can. Rex was established in 2002 when the Australia-wide Airlines consortium set up by former Ansett Australia employees acquired Hazelton Airlines and Kendall Airlines, which was part of the Ansett group, two more regional airlines. They merged the two companies and began operations in August 2002 as Rex. In 2005, the parent company Australia-wide Airlines was renamed Regional Express Holdings and partly floated on the Australian Securities Exchange. And it also acquired Airlink, another regional airline, in 2005. They expanded into Queensland in 2007. There's been a few ups and downs, and also some routes that have been added, routes that have been suspended, and so they've actually
500.
leased 6 Boeing 737-800s from Virgin Australia, as it turned out, to start their intercapital operations, which are due to commence in March 2021. So they're primarily a
400.
regional airline, including a lot of sub 340s that were ex-American Eagle. And so in October 2020, the airline operated an all sub 340 fleet with 3 different variants,
500.
and they're leasing 6 Boeing 737s.
Clear to land runway 17.
So they're trying to capture some of the market, especially the Sydney to Melbourne, that the partial collapse of Virgin Australia,
500.
So the basic story of Canberra is that when Australia became a federation, there were arguments about which city should become the capital, Sydney or Melbourne. And so it was decided eventually to be either not Sydney or Melbourne, but let's build a new city in between the two. I don't like where this is going, Otto.
200.
I don't like this at all. And so halfway between Sydney and Melbourne is now Canberra, and it's a very planned city. So a lot of people who live in Canberra have some sort of connection with government, with the Australian government being based there, and that's where the, as I said, the capital of Australia is. A lot of people think that either Sydney or Melbourne is the capital because they're the two biggest cities, but that's not the case. A lot of people don't actually go to Canberra unless, they're, connected somehow with government, etc. So we're just coming on to final now. So it'll be interesting to see how Rex does with their expansion into a capital operation rather than just purely regional. Before, say, if you were going to somewhere in country New South Wales and you were coming from Melbourne, depending on where it was, you'd have to go on a different airline to the capital city and then get a Rex plane from there. Rex did have agreements with some of the other carriers, including Virgin. So we'll see how we're going. Go, Otto.
200. 100. 60.
I'm not liking this at all. You're very wide, Otto.
20. Retard. 5.
You're very, very wide, Otto.
Rex 069er, contact ground on 121.7.
Oh, well, that's one way to get the taxiway quicker.
121.7 RAX 069er.
That's one way to rapidly get to the gate. Just land wide and just basically end up on the taxiway.
Canberra ground RAX 069er, taxi to the gate.
Rex 069er, taxi to gate 25 via taxiway cross runway 12 Kilo Charlie.
Taxiing to gate 25 via taxiway cross runway 12 Kilo Charlie Rex 069er.
Oh, he said Rex then. Good on you, old mate. All right. So that is Rex. Talk about cross the runway. You certainly are across the runway, Otto, old mate. So we'll leave Otto there, I think. See you, mate.
Rossi 069er ready at runway 28, departing straight out.
So
Rossi 069er cleared for takeoff runway 28 straight out, departure approved.
So here we are. We're at Richmond RAAF base
Cleared for
again.
takeoff runway 28 Aussie 069er.
So this is a Royal Australian Air Force RAAF aircraft, which would be similar to that. That would be used for, you know, ferrying people around, such as the Prime Minister of Australia, etc. So we're at Richmond Air Force Base, northwest of Sydney. We have featured a general aviation aircraft, which normally wouldn't use this airport, but this sort of plane would. There's a variety of aircraft used for this sort of purpose: Boeing 737s and Airbus A330s. The best I can do is an A320neo, so here we are, but this is what it would look like. Links on the show notes for all of these skins, so you can find them for yourself. Links do change, so you can just do a search of the various sites and find updates, etc. Whichever ones you choose to like. We'll go outside. There's our aircraft, single runway, maintenance facilities, etc. behind. We'll give auto control of the aircraft. We'll just do a simple circuit and let's go.
Tower, Aussie 069er to land.
Aussie 069er, Richmond Tower. Enter left downwind runway 28. Altimeter 29er, to wing 257 entry.
Make left traffic runway 28, Aussie 069er.
Airport information, Oscar 0300. Wind 257 at 3. Visibility, none. Sky condition, clear. Temperature, 15. Dew point, 13. Altimeter, 29.902. ILS Zulu runway 28 in use. Landing and departing runway 28. VSR aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Oscar. Richmond Airport information.
So it's a nice, simple scheme, doesn't draw too much attention to itself. The whole idea isn't to really advertise the fact of what it is. You know, it's not something as not something like Air Force One. That gives me an idea. You can actually. And I do have the colour scheme for Air Force One, so we'll do that next.
Aussie 069er cleared to land runway 28. Wind 257 entry.
Cleared to land runway 28 Aussie 069er.
So the Richmond area, wider known as the Hawkesbury region, to the northwest of Sydney, about 55 kilometres to the northwest of Sydney, is certainly growing. You can see some development behind the plane, and that's typical of what's going on in the general area. There's still lots of farmland out there, however. Let's see if Otto can do a better landing than what he did in Canberra. Alright, let's go, Otto. Good luck. We're all counting on you.
$500. 400. 300. 200. 100.
Alright, how we doing, Otto?
40, 30, 20. Retard, try.
Yep, wide again.
Aussie 069er contact ground on 128.25.
Well, that's one way. Watch out!
128.25 for Aussie 069er.
Oops. Just imagine if you had the Australian Prime Minister on board and you flew like that, Otto, and you flew into a building. Some people might actually be cheering for that at the moment, but Otto, that wasn't very good. Well, we're back. I was going to feature the couple of Air Force One designs that I had from the Mega Liveries pack, but unfortunately both of those were just basically blank aircraft, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I have to do a bit more looking into that one. We're going to finish off with a couple of smaller planes. This is a Cessna Caravan 208 in Skydive Australia colours. We're at Wilton Airport, southwest of Sydney, beyond Camden, near Douglas Park. This airport is mainly used for general aviation, and it's a good skydiving area. Not that I'm going to throw myself out of a perfectly good aircraft. So we'll announce our takeoff.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 are taking off runway 32 straight on departure.
So we'll give Otto the ship. Next episode, I promise, General Aviation. So we're just going to do a simple circuit with this one. And see how Otto goes with this landing.
Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles northwest 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 1.
Alright, let's see what Otto does. Okay, he's going to make the turn. Good boy. Now obviously for skydiving you're going to climb a lot higher, but that's not the purpose of this one. So if we were to continue north of here, we'd fly to Camden Airport, which we have featured before. We'd fly a bit further to the north, we come to Bankstown. Fly to the west, we get Richmond. Fly to the east, we get Sydney International. So semi or very rural out here.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles northwest 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 1.
So let's see, how are you going to go with this one, Otto?
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069er is on upwind runway 1. Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles southeast 1,300 feet inbound to land runway 1.
Alright, so let's hope. He looks like he's about to make a left-hand turn.
Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles east 1,100 feet inbound to land runway 1.
Okay, it still looks a bit high.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles northeast 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 32.
Okay, so I've changed the runway. So now we've got a pattern entry.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069er is on upwind runway 32. Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069er is on base runway 32.
Let's see, what does he do? So he's turning around to join the pattern. Good.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles west 1,500 feet inbound to land runway 32.
So now he's slowing down.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles southwest 1,600 feet inbound to land runway 32. Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles south 1,300 feet inbound to land runway 32.
So turning around. Looking not too bad.
Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 1 mile southeast 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 32.
So because we're not at a towered airport, we're just announcing our positions. Might be doing it too often, but just doing it for the sake of it.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 1 mile southeast 700 feet inbound to land runway 32.
So we're on final now.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 is on final runway 32 to land.
I didn't say go around.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 going around.
Did I say anything about going around, Otto? Was a well executed go around, but
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles west 1,500 feet inbound to land runway 32.
alright, let's see how it goes this time.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles southwest 1,600 feet inbound to land runway 32.
Are you going to turn, Otto? Yeah, he's going to turn now.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles south 1,600 feet inbound to land runway 32. traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 1 mile southeast 800 feet inbound to land runway 32. Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 1 mile southeast 700 feet inbound to land runway 32.
Okay, Otto, let's do it this time. Now he's going around again.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 are going around. Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 1 miles northwest 900 feet inbound to land runway 14.
I'm pretty sure I had it set both times for a final stop, not a touch and go, but I have again set it for a full stop, so we'll see how we go.
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles northwest 1,300 feet inbound to land runway 14.
So we'll see how we go. See how you go this time, Otto.
Oscar traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles southwest 1,600 feet inbound to land runway 14. Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles southeast 1,100 feet inbound to land runway 14. Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles southeast 1,700 feet inbound to land runway 14. Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 6 miles southeast 2,300 feet inbound to land runway 14. Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 7 miles southeast 2,700 feet inbound to land runway 14.
So we seem to be going higher, Otto. Oscar traffic, Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 12 miles southeast 3,900 feet inbound to land runway 14. Where are you going, Otto?
Yankee Whiskey India Oscar traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 16 miles southeast 4,900
You're
feet inbound to
overrunning
land
them.
runway 14.
We're gonna
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 7 miles northeast 5,300 feet inbound to land runway 16.
Well, didn't this turn out to be an adventure?
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 7 miles northeast 4,800 feet inbound to land runway 16.
So now we're going to be landing at Shell Harbour Airport. So I wasn't expecting this. A very beautiful area of the world, the South Coast. Have flown down here on a different episode. Wasn't expecting to, I was just expecting a simple just go around, fly the circuit, go in. Wasn't expecting any of this. But here we are. Okay, there's Shell Harbour Airport. We'll announce our position.
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles northeast 900 feet inbound to land runway 16.
Otto, do not go around.
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles north 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 16. Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles northwest 1,000 feet inbound to land runway 16.
Better be a good landing after this, boy. Beautiful scenery.
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 3 miles northwest 800 feet inbound to land runway 16.
A lot of development in this general area as well.
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles west 600 feet inbound to land runway 16. Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 or 2 miles southwest 300 feet inbound to land runway 16.
Alright, Otto, make me proud.
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 is on final runway 16 to land.
Not quite. No, people, no. I guess we're clear of the runway.
Yankee Sierra Hotel Lima traffic Echo Romeo Kilo 069 is clear of the runway.
Otto, my dude. With apologies to Skydive Australia.
Flight Doctor 069er, continue to Bravo Hotel India turning and following heading 155.
Continue to Bravo Hotel India turning and following heading 155 FLYINGDOCTOR 069er.
So we are back, and to finish the episode, we are back in a Royal Flying Doctor Service aircraft. It is basically an aircraft which is an ambulance in the sky, which isn't a helicopter. The Royal Flying Doctor Service, they feature predominantly in outback, remote and rural Australia, and some things are planned in terms of, you know, somebody has a specialist appointment in a remote area or whatever, but a lot of it is emergency work. A lot of it is emergency work, you know, accidents, people getting ill, and because of the remoteness, it can be difficult for speedier help, basically. So the Royal Flying Doctor Service have been around since the late 1920s, early 1930s, and over the time they've become to be very well respected and trusted and needed in these remote and outback areas. Sometimes it'll be you know, a few hours out of somewhere like Broken Hill, which we're flying into in the moment in far western New South Wales. You might be flying to somewhere else like Adelaide or Dubbo or wherever, but sometimes you'll be flying. But at other times you'll be, well, I'm working on it. But at other times it'll be all the way to Sydney, just depending on what the situation is. So there's space for pilots, there's space for doctors and nurses, and also up to 3 patients on stretchers. This particular King Air would be pressurised, so it can fly higher than something like a Cessna Caravan, for instance. And again, this is one of the free skins, links on the show notes in the description. I wasn't planning to be in the sky in this for so long, but we were trying to do a circuit of Broken Hill Airport, and then Otto decided to, okay Otto, you have the aircraft. And then Otto just decided to go for a fly, so he's fine. Sounds good to me.
Descend and maintain 3,100 via flying Dr. 069er.
Now the funny thing is, when I started this particular flight, and we had some technical issues, when I started recording this flight, I had it typed out as Flying Space Doctor. All was one word. Sorry, it's 2 words. Flying Space Doctor. And so the pilot couldn't recognise Flying Doctor as words. So he was spelling it out letter for letter. And then I got ATC involved, and ART straight away called it Flying Doctor 069er. And then all of a sudden since then, old mate's been able to recognise the Flying Doctor is in fact 2 words, and he doesn't have to spell it out.
Flying Doctor 069er, please expedite your descent to 3,100 feet.
So beautiful looking aircraft with the Royal Flying Doctor Service colour scheme. Links on the show notes and in the description for where you can get them for free. And as I mentioned before, you really need to know the best place to put them and the naming hierarchy and that sort of stuff to make sure that you can actually find it. In this case,
Flying Doctor 069er, please expedite your descent to 3,100 feet.
you're still climbing, Otto. Hang on, I'm going to have to okay, Otto, have the ship. Engage autopilot.
Doctor 069er, please expedite your descent to 3,100 feet.
So there's our aircraft. Links to all of the aircraft information about all the aircraft, all the airports mentioned will be in the description and the show notes. SimulatorErkGaming.com and also Simulator Erk on YouTube, the Flight Simulator or the Microsoft Flight Simulator playlist. I've been Simulator Erk. You've been wonderful. We'll see you next time. Watch out for this airplane in the next episode. Bye for now.